What's up, guys? Welcome back to Dad Dimes Radio. I'm here today without Levi, but I am joined by Aubrey, making her third or fourth appearance on the show. I think it's her fourth, but we're doing part 3 of NBA City jerseys. We're going to just do a couple real quick because we got a lot to unpack this episode. Obviously, you've seen the title. We haven't streamed since the Super Bowl, so we have to talk about that. Obviously, since everybody already watched the game and it's been a while since it, we won't go too far into the analysis, but let's go ahead and get this going here. All right. Continuing where we left off here, guys. Here we go. Shared screen. All right. Getting things off with a heater right away, Aubrey. What are your thoughts on this Phoenix Suns jersey?
I really like this one because I do think it's one of the more unique ones, and there's just a lot of color. So if I was in the stands, I could easily tell apart the colors of the two teams because this one's just very bright and vibrant. So overall, I would give this one a 9 out of 10.
And that's our best so far, right? So far, our best has been 8. I would have to agree. These new Sun jerseys are fire.
Yeah.
And we move right on to another one with some cyan touches. We got the Trailblazers.
I also really like this one just because I really like the font, how it's nice and big so you can read it. And I love that blue stripe and like the stripes going along like where the arms are and the Nike symbol. I love how all the colors are kind of separate, but then they all kind of fall together because they match. So this one I'm going to have to get an 8.5.
And we're going to go in reverse order here. Just keep the cyan theme going. How about this Spurs jersey with the cyan?
This one is fine.
See, personally, I agree. I think these two top ones look better, but this one is the most creative with this like kind of fiesta stripe and then pink, black, and yellow along the collar.
So
and then they got their logo in place of the U.
Yeah, that's very cool, but the font just kind of looks a little weird.
Yeah, but again, the font's creative as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is creative.
I'm a big fan of this jersey. I don't know about you. But
I think I'm going to have to give it a 7.
That's respectable.
I'm not a huge, ginormous fan of it.
All right, and next, moving on, we got the Sacramento Kings.
This one I also have to really like. It's not as cool as the other ones, but I definitely like this one. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 just because.
Dang, 9 out of 10.
No, I said 8.
Oh, I thought you said no, my bad.
Oh. I really do like the font and the purple and the gray kind of all falls together.
Me personally, I still think I'd go a little less than an 8, but definitely not a 9. Yeah. These are 2 heaters right here. Oh, and these are the last 2, guys. And then we'll go through and try and remember your best and your worst. But this gold and black Raptors jersey first.
My thoughts on this one, I think it's really cool and creative, but it's kind of just font number, it's kind of
yeah.
more
But the
big
thing is they're using that gold, which no NBA team really has ever used like this. It's got a little bit of a camo pattern too, and I just think it looks really clean.
I think I'll give it a 7.
I personally would have this one up with the Suns jersey, but that's just me. And then I know you'll like this one, and I like it as well. We got the Wizards one based off the flowers from the DC area, which obviously we've both been to DC, so we appreciate it.
This one's pretty cool and really unique.
And you can't really, it's hard to tell online, but I've seen them in game. And these little white specks, you see those? Yeah. Those are like little flowers going down the side in the white.
I think it's really unique, and it's special to Washington, not special to anyone else, but that doesn't mean that it's not special to them.
But that's what they're supposed to do, is make it special to them with the city jerseys.
Yeah.
It's supposed to connect it to their city.
Yeah. It's like, this is our city, we're representing it, we're here to represent our city. I really do like that red color, like the light red.
I think it's definitely more of a pink.
Yeah, it's like a
I guess pink is a light red, but
yeah, technically. And the blue is kind of like standing out, it's popping out there.
mhm.
I have to give this one an 8 out of 10 just because altogether I think it looks pretty good, but also it kind of.
All right, so in review, it took us 3 parts to get through all of these. Obviously, we're
Yes.
doing other stuff in the episode, but the winner is the Sun. Coming in close, I do remember right there with them were this Cavs jersey, which might be my favorite of them all, and then this Hawks jersey, the very first one, and your
Yeah.
least favorite one. Was that the Bulls, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
I think the Bulls were in contention. Maybe the Pacers.
I also, if you go up, I really like that Dallas one.
See, I remember that. I wasn't as huge fan of it, but I remember you really liked the font. And
Yeah, but the roses are cool. It wasn't a huge fan at the time. But what does that mean? I'm gone?
No, you can stay if you want, but we are moving on. Thanks for if you watched all 3 parts of those. But we're gonna go ahead and keep the NBA theme real quick with the All-Star recap. Obviously happened this past weekend, and Mac obviously put on a show. Got all perfect scores except for one after the horrible dunk contest last year. Obviously there was the new rule change with the timer, which was brought back. They had it in the dunk contest a long time ago. Personally, I don't think he saved the dunk contest because they're basically going to need him to do it every year for it to be as good, or bring in other starters like John Morant. Because really, Trey Murphy, Kenyon Martin, they were pretty good, but Jericho Sims was kind of pathetic, honestly. And I feel like there's a good chance that guys like Jericho Sims could just bring back what it was the year before this year. And obviously, the dunk contest ended up being a success thanks to Mac McClung, but the All-Star game was a failure. Most people liked the draft just before the game started. Obviously, lots of rumors that it was scripted. I'm not sure. That's a tough one, honestly, to know if it's scripted or not. But obviously, the game was terrible. And I've heard some ideas for the future, like a 1v1 tournament. But even then, I still think the players would just be jacking up shots and stuff like that, and not trying. Maybe someone who is going to try a little bit more, like Jason Tatum, gives them more of a chance to shine. Obviously, he won the All-Star Game MVP. But really, I don't know. I personally think they should kind of follow the Pro Bowl, where they just added more skills competitions. Obviously, they did the flag football game. Maybe the flag football game, the 1v1 tournament is that parallel thing for the NBA. But I don't think that's going to work. I think they should just scrap the All-Star game completely here in a couple more years. I think it needs a couple more chances because each year there is kind of a revival, like with Steph Curry's performance last year. I think, but it's also tough to come up with some skills competitions for inside the basketball arena. They're going to have to try and be creative, but also not too creative to where they come up with something that's honestly just stupid. But then more in the NBA, we got the trade deadline, which obviously happened quite a bit ago at the beginning of February. But definitely got big stuff going on with KD to the Suns. I think Mikal Bridges is going to be an absolute baller for the Nets. He's one of my favorite players with his defensive ability as well. And he doesn't sit out games. But obviously Kevin Durant really elevates the Suns. And I'm getting a call here, guys. So I'll be right back here in just a second. Let me just get this going. All right, sorry about that, but I'm back, picking up right where we left off. Trade deadline. KD, I'm going to give it a C for the Nets. I think what they got back for KD was great draft picks. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, 2 former lottery picks that are still young. But I do think that the Suns had to give away a lot, and they're really trying to go all in here on Chris Paul's last couple years in the league. Other big guy leaving from the Nets, Kyrie to the Mavs. Nets got some decent role players back for him. Not really any future picks, but they were also trying to build around KD at that time, not knowing KD would request a trade a few days later. Mavs, I don't think Kyrie was the right star to put by Luka, but it is nice to see them trying to help out Luka. I guess you can say they're doing their best, but obviously KD would have been a much better fit if they could have gotten him, or even if they would have managed to pull Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan out of Chicago. Anyways, my biggest winners of the trade deadline are the Lakers, who in separate trades got Mo Bamba, great rim protector in the defense that they need, D'Angelo Russell, a point guard who's going to be a better shooter and turn the ball over less than Russell Westbrook, and then Rui Hachimura, who's a young wing with crazy athleticism and tons of potential, and he can also fit into the starting lineup right now with that Lakers team. But they have a lot of work to do to make the playoffs, and if they don't, it's going to be a very disappointing last couple years of LeBron James' career, although he did break the scoring record this year. Next, the Warriors got Gary Payton back after he signed with the Blazers in free agency. Nice move for them for the playoffs, but that's even if they're able to stay in the playoffs here with Steph Curry still out and Gary Payton not going to be able to play till about playoff season with his injury as well. They also shipped out former number 2 overall pick James Wiseman, who is right now looking like such a big bust, but we'll see what he can do in Detroit with that young core and see if they can develop him. Saddiq Bey got traded to the Hawks from the Pistons. So they lose another good young wing. It's a good trade for the Hawks, in my opinion. Pistons just trying to clear up some cap space. Bones Highland goes to the Clippers, which was honestly a solid move at first because the Nuggets, he just wasn't working with the system. He's a young guy with tons of potential. Clippers bring him in, but then they go and get Russell Westbrook. Bones Highland can contribute off the bench now, but now their big trio and even their role players like Marcus Morris are just way too old, and they're focusing to win now when their team really isn't playing like a win now team. So they can't develop their young talent when they get guys like Bones Highland, and they're stuck trying to win a championship with an 8 seed. Obviously, injuries have hurt them the past couple years, but they knew Kawhi was going to be injury prone. Matisse Thybulle goes to the Blazers in kind of a move that we saw coming before the season. We thought the 76ers would get rid of him. Sixers got Jaden McDaniels from the Hornets. Great move there for them. And then the Blazers shipped out Josh Hart to the Knicks to reunite with Villanova teammate Jalen Brunson. Decent move for the Knicks. I thought they should have tried to do a little more, but he'll be a solid role player for them. Although he's starting to have a little down year here with the Blazers. Then obviously the buyouts have just happened in the past couple days. First one, Pat Bev went to the Magic after being traded for Mo Bamba. He's not really being traded in the, he went to the Magic in the trade. He's now bought out and he's with the Bulls, who they need some point guards with Lonzo Ball now missing the rest of the season. But they obviously still have Ayo Dosunmu and Alex Caruso in the mix, so he's not going to do much there in my opinion. Kevin Love goes to the Heat, who, despite some skeptics, I think Kevin Love's a nice fit for the Heat. I think he should start at power forward with them. That's their biggest weakness, and he can just sit in the corner and knock down some threes. As long as he's not too much of a defensive liability. They got Bam Adebayo playing down there to help him out. Jimmy Butler's a solid perimeter defender. Kevin Love's a solid fit for them. And then the biggest name to go after being traded to the Jazz, Westbrook goes to the Clippers to complete that trio with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I do like that look for him, and I'm glad he got out of the Lakers, who just absolutely hated him. Then we move on the college basketball here, guys. Talk about our K-State Wildcats, who are looking to have emerged from a rough patch where they were like 2-5, 3-6 in a little span. They've came out with wins against Iowa State and Baylor, 2 huge wins for them, and they're currently a 2 seed in the latest bracketology. They're going to finish the season out against Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and then Oklahoma, and then obviously they'll have a very tough Big 12 tourney, as it is still the best conference in college basketball. And the best team in that conference, KU, looks like a favorite to repeat and win again this year, in my opinion. But the number 1 overall seed in bracketology right now is Alabama. Obviously, their best player, Brandon Miller, going through some controversy right now, which we won't really get into. And then Houston and Purdue are the other projected 1 seeds currently. Moving on to football, we'll talk about the NFL. The Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl in one of the greatest games ever. Patrick Mahomes put on a perfect second half to earn himself his 2nd ring and his 2nd Super Bowl MVP. 2 come-behind victories in his Super Bowls. First one, down by 10 in the 4th quarter against the Niners. Second one, down by 10 at halftime to a much better Eagles team, in my opinion, than that 49ers team. And then the regular season awards, obviously Mahomes got his 2nd regular season MVP as well, which we have to ask, where does he all-time, already in his career at 27 years old? Obviously, Tom Brady, who's retired now, Joe Montana. Those are the first 2 names I think that definitely go above him. There's some other guys that just had long careers, Terry Bradshaw, a couple other guys possibly. But Patrick Mahomes, I think, could already be a top 5 quarterback all-time. Aaron Rodgers, if he finishes his career well, he's up there. Obviously, Peyton Manning's up there. But Mahomes, couple more years of this production, he's already going to be there by the age of 30. The rest of the regular season awards, besides Mahomes at MVP, Offensive Player of the Year was Justin Jefferson. Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa. And then the Jets obviously had a great draft this year. Get Garrett Wilson with the Offensive Rookie of the Year and Sauce Gardner with the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Shifting gears to the other side of football, which is what is currently going on, we got the XFL. Obviously ran by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and his partners. 8 teams in the league. I watched the San Antonio Brahmas take on the St. Louis Battlenecks this weekend, and it actually was a good game. Battlenecks, or it's Battlehawks, excuse me, not Battlenecks. Battlehawks, St. Louis Battlehawks got the win there, coming from behind. That one was a defensive battle, but then one of the teams got blown out by the other. And then we had a game that happened Thursday night that I'm not sure what happened in. But personally, I did actually enjoy seeing kind of the new rules and differences in the XFL. It's like a blend of college and NFL and like a minor league for these players. Some have never been, some have been in the NFL to get back or get in here at the end of the season. Obviously, they plan the season in the spring, so players have a chance to be done playing in the XFL and then join the summer camp for NFL teams. Some of the notable players in the NFL, Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback out of Ole Miss, who I just remember because he was a Chiefs backup. I watched him play in preseason, and he was real good at Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure he was there when A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, those guys were there, and they had a real great team. The highest drafted of these players, and still fairly young, Paxton Lynch, obviously was a big bust for the Broncos, drafted in the 1st round out of Memphis. But about 5 years later, he's in the XFL, and he's getting benched in the XFL, just like in the NFL. So rough start on both sides of the ball for Paxton Lynch. Then we got a successful NFL player, Kalen Ballage, who had some success with the Cardinals when he was in the league. He's a running back. Then Jack Cohn, who I remember watching play at Wisconsin and then transferring to Notre Dame, was a 4-year starter in college. He took over as a quarterback for the San Antonio Brahmas. Josh Gordon, who was most recently on the Chiefs in the NFL, but was an All-Pro way back in 2013 with the Browns and set a record. I can't remember what record. I just know he has a receiving record in the NFL. Josh Gordon, the most decorated former NFL player. But then the most decorated college player is A.J. McCarron, who's the quarterback for the Battlehawks and won 2 college titles at Alabama as their starting quarterback, and then bounced around the league as a backup for several years. Did start a playoff game when he was with the Bengals. And then another wide receiver that's the next most decorated NFL player after Josh Gordon is Martavis Bryant, who obviously played alongside Antonio Brown with the Steelers when Big Ben was there. And he was their number 2 receiver. He was a really good NFL player. But similar to AB, off the field problems caught up with him, and he got kicked out of the league. But he's found a way back into the XFL. And that's going to go ahead and do it, guys. See